What if I told you? The cast of Off Campus had to follow strict rules behind the scenes. And no, it wasn't just because of the romance scenes. Prime Video is treating this series like their next huge young adult obsession, which means the actors had to deal with secrecy, pressure, and some surprisingly intense production rules while filming. And honestly, some fans had no idea how controlled this set actually was. The first major rule? The cast was not allowed to improvise intimate scenes. Yeah, every single romantic moment in Off Campus was reportedly planned out almost like choreography. Nothing was random. Nothing was just natural. Every touch, every movement, every kiss was discussed beforehand. The actors worked closely with intimacy coordinators whose job was to make sure everybody felt comfortable and safe during filming. Which honestly makes sense because this franchise is heavily romance-driven. But here's where people get surprised. Even though the scenes look emotional and spontaneous on screen, the actors said filming them was actually kind of awkward because during those scenes, there were still cameras, lighting crews, directors, sound people, basically an entire production team standing around while they filmed emotional moments. One cast member even compared it to doing choreography in front of a crowd. So while fans are screaming over the chemistry online, the actors were out there trying not to feel uncomfortable under bright studio lights. And Prime Video reportedly had another strict rule: closed sets. When filming intimate scenes, only essential crew members were allowed in the room. No random visitors, no unnecessary staff. And reportedly, restrictions around phones and recordings were taken very seriously. That's because Prime wanted complete control over leaks, especially with a fandom this obsessed. Now, this next part is where things get really interesting. The cast also had spoiler restrictions, and fans started noticing it online immediately. Certain actors weren't allowed to publicly hint at future relationships, future couples, or major surprise appearances before the show released. There were even rumors that some cast members had to avoid interacting publicly before certain reveals aired. And honestly, that tells you just how serious Prime Video is about protecting this franchise. But let's talk about the pressure for a second, because adapting Off Campus was never going to be easy. The books already have a massive fan base. Book Talk is obsessed with these characters, which means the actors weren't just playing random college students. They were stepping into roles fans have imagined for years. And when that happens, every little detail gets judged. The chemistry, the acting, the appearance, the personalities, everything. That's probably why production focused so heavily on chemistry building exercises before filming. According to interviews, the cast spent time building trust with each other so the emotional scenes would feel believable on screen. And honestly, it worked. Because one thing almost every fan agrees on right now is that the chemistry feels incredibly natural. Even though behind the scenes, it was carefully planned. Now here's another strict part most viewers don't know about: the hockey training. Since Off Campus revolves heavily around the Briar hockey team, the actors reportedly had to train so the sports scenes wouldn't look fake. And apparently, production took that very seriously, because fans would absolutely notice if the actors looked awkward on the ice, especially sports romance fans. But honestly, the craziest part about all of this is how controlled modern romance productions have become. Years ago, scenes like these were often filmed with very little protection for actors. Now, everything is discussed beforehand. What actors are comfortable with, what's allowed, what's not allowed, how scenes will be shot, and exactly who will be present. which is probably one reason why newer romance shows feel more polished and emotionally realistic. And you can tell Prime Video is trying hard to turn Off Campus into their next major romance franchise. The secrecy, the controlled marketing, the cast protection, the spoiler prevention. All of it feels very similar to what streaming platforms do with huge fandom shows, like Bridgerton or The Summer I Turned Pretty. So while fans are busy obsessing over the relationships on screen, behind the scenes, the cast was dealing with strict rules, careful planning, intense secrecy, and the pressure of bringing one of Book Talk's favorite romance series to life. And honestly, after hearing all this, the chemistry looks even more impressive, because making romance look effortless is actually a lot of work. But now I need to know what you think. Do strict rules make romance shows better? Or do you think too much control removes the natural chemistry? Because after learning what the off-campus cast went through, I'm honestly seeing the show very differently now.